Climbing Everest wasn't my ambition from many years ago or something like that. It was just something that came quite spontaneously, really, because that's how most of the things that I've done in my life were quite spontaneous, and that's sort of my philosophy in a way of how I do things and how I enjoy doing things. I guess it was my parents who introduced me to the world of mountains and all that they have to offer. But on a slightly different level than what I've been doing the last couple of years. I started off just a small kid, learning my way up the slopes on a small skis, and later on I realized that there's a bit more behind that one can do. And I met some great people who introduced me to the world of slightly higher and bigger mountains at some point. Guess what? What's next? And when I told them, they were, I think for a few days, my mom didn't say a word. And I think she was just thinking, oh, it's like this euphoria. You come back from one great expedition and she's going to relax and it's not going to be that easy and she's going to think it over. I don't think she took it seriously at the beginning. And I think my father was slightly more sort of understanding because he knows me quite a bit already. Everest was a serious undertaking, obviously, but the first time that was in my head was when we were climbing with Tashi Tenzing and we were standing on the top of Choyu together at the end of 2007. And you have this beautiful scenery that opens up in front of you, and the highest mountain that's in front of you, right there, sort of thing, was Everest. And that was my first very sort of private encounter with this mountain. And then later on, a few days later, when we got back from this expedition to Kathmandu and having just a pint of beer and having a really good time and relaxing finally, Tashi would just say, well, this expedition went really well, the one on Choyu, so how about we do another thing next year and we try to give it a go on Everest. And this is the sort of offer you get once in a lifetime from someone like Tashi Tenzing, who's the grandson of Tenzing Norgay, the guy who, with Sir Edmund Hillary in 1953, were the first people on Earth who climbed the top of Everest. I knew there were a couple of guys from Czech Republic who climbed Everest, obviously. I had no recollection about how many women, or if any woman at all, climbed it. When I got back and I was talking to my family, then they said, well, you may potentially be the first one. And I was like, nah, come on, like, this is obvious. Someone must have already been there, like there must have been another woman doing this before. I lost almost 11 kilos during the climb, during those 2.5 months, almost 3 months. It was a great thing for my hair, I have to say, and for my skin. It was like a natural peeling, and your hair looked great after you not wash them or you don't touch pollute them with any chemicals. So after 2 months, you have your first shower and a hair wash. It feels and looks great. And frostbite, a little bit, yes. I always suffer with my fingers, and every time I come back to mountains is the first thing that I know I have to be very careful about. And I had a bit of a frostbite on my fingertips on both hands, and it took about 6 months to sort of recover and come back to the point that I could have a feeling back in my fingers again. But at one point it was about -40, which I think was the coldest that we encountered, and that was during the summit attempt. If it was really cold, like on average, it would be -20, -30 in the evenings mostly, when the temperatures really dropped down.
How was the day today?
Huh?
How was the day?
Actually, it was much better than yesterday. One crisis on the way up after the long, never-ending fucking wall. But after that, I got a coffee.
Speak good English.
Much better.
Good.
Like you climb most of the mornings up to about 2 o'clock was always nice. Usually if the weather was nice, like it would be nice and sunny, and then like on the dot, 2 o'clock, 2 p.m., the sun would disappear behind the clouds and it would start to snow a little bit, and then the winds would come. And if it was really windy, we would just be looking up to the mountain and you could just see this little mist going, and it just looks like, oh, there's this little bit of a cloud on top of Everest, and actually, like that's a hell. If you were up there, that you don't want to be there. I really do not remember the last bits of the summit attempt, of the last few meters or the last moment. What I remember is like just a huge relief that you just, thanks God, I don't have to go any higher. Like this is it, and we can't go any further. Like this is the real top.
Halo?
No, už tě slyšíme, prosím tě. Tak kde seš? Jsi na vrcholu kozu?
Jsme na vrcholu. Měli jsme hroznou noc, sněžilo strašně moc, hrozná zima. Jsme úplně vyřízený. Teďka je sluníčko, jasno a hrozný mráz. Takže se jenom otočíme, uděláme pár fotek a můžeme dolů. Ta cesta je příšerná.
I think I can recall just one specific situation when I really felt like it was just on the edge and we were thinking maybe this is not going to work and maybe it's time to turn around and go home. And that was the last day of the climb, the summit attempt really, when you start a climb quite late in the evening from the point, and our last camp was 8,300 meters, and you're cooking your tea, getting ready, and just before midnight we went out to give it a go, and it was the last summit attempt. And about 2-3 hours later, the weather was just really bad. Basically, the conditions, it was snowing, the visibility was pretty bad. We could just see a few steps just ahead of you. And the track was completely snowed under. There was a lot of fresh snow, so basically you were in your own footsteps and you're on the rope, on your own pretty much, because I couldn't see anyone in front of me, I couldn't see anyone behind me. And at one part of the climb, I sling down, and then I just sort of like had a really moment when just something inside of me say, what am I doing? Like, I don't feel good at all. And I could really feel like suddenly, like, I could just sense that there's nothing behind me. And I was just saying, what am I going to do now? And I was just completely frozen and really, really afraid at the time. Like, first time ever during the whole almost 2 months on the mountain where I really felt like I don't feel comfortable. The weather luckily cleared out, and the sky got completely bright again. We could see the stars, and you can finally see the track, and you could see other people from different expeditions on different levels of the mountain with their little lights in the back, in the front. And we said, okay, so hopefully the worst is behind. Let's keep going. It seems like we're on the good track. It was at the moment where you have a relief that you managed to get quite safe down to the point where there was just this last summit, this last descent in front of us, and I knew my father was expecting me at the bottom of the mountain, waiting for me down there, hopefully. And it was 3-4 hours of last climbing, and before we are super safe, and Sherpa's ready with the hot tea and my tent waiting for me, and pretty much the whole thing is over. And you're getting to the mall, you want to celebrate, and this is the moment when you hear, well, but someone else is not definitely at that stage. There was this other woman, other lady, which was in Libor's team, and I was asking, oh, by the way, how is Libor? How is he doing? In which camp is he at this stage? And she said, oh, Libor is not coming back. And I was like, what do you mean he's not coming back? And she said, well, Libor is dead at Camp 3. And this is just one of those moments when it gets to you saying, no way, like, this can't be true. We spoke 3 days ago, and we were planning to do this and that and have these drinks and do whatever. And there's immediately what starts to go in your head. What happened? What went wrong? I mean, it's just, the mountains are just unbelievable in this respect, and it doesn't have to be, this can happen in 2,000 meters as well as in 8,000. So just be cautious, really. Asking me, would you ever come back and want to do it again, for example, from the other side, or choose another route? And I was like, no way, no chance. Like, I've done it once, there's no reason of coming back. It was lovely, it was a fantastic experience. It's something that I'm going to keep in deep inside until I die, probably, for the rest of my life. And it's something very special, but why would I want to repeat it? Why would I want to take the huge risk that you ultimately take? I had a 2 years break, and I think that was quite a healthy break in a way, because you need to sort of like be looking forward to other things. And I get to the stage where I really need to get back somewhere again.